Hi guys, welcome to another coaching video. So today we're going to be looking at videos of another fellow viewer from my YouTube channel, which is Chris. I'm not too sure which country Chris is from, but I assume he's from the United States. So Chris actually watched some of my videos on my YouTube channel and he actually contacted me via Instagram. And I actually proceeded to ask him to add me on WhatsApp so that I can respond a little bit faster since I don't really like respond that quickly on like social messaging services such as like Facebook as well as Instagram. I usually do post there like maybe once a week or sometimes less than once a week. So I don't really check those social media platforms often. So for anybody who's really interested to contact me, like to take a look at their videos, you could message me on those social media platforms. You could also add my, if you're using WhatsApp at all, then you can add my number to your WhatsApp and then you can message me directly there because WhatsApp is on my mobile phone and it's something that I check very often. So Chris himself, he is having a unique style, which is the one-handed thumbless release, which has the benefits of both the two-handers thumbless release and the benefit of having the one-handers approach, right? The timing as well as the approach. But the downside is that you are not able to have a very high backswing since you don't put your thumb into the ball. The highest you can go, right? The backswing wise, let's look at Chris' backswing. The highest you can go is here, right? So this is as high a backswing as Chris can go because he does not have his thumb in the ball. But you can see that the benefits of this technique is that you can get your hands underneath, because you don't have your thumb in the ball, you can get your fingers and hand underneath the bowling ball right before release, which gives you a lot more leverage, which rotates the ball a lot more, so you can have a lot higher revolutions. But obviously, ball speed will be another challenge as well. But typically, I think a one-handed thumbless release will still get a little bit more ball speed compared to a beginner two-hander. Reason being is that you can actually keep your arm swing relatively straight. So most one-handed thumbless bowlers, right? They will still need to bend a little bit of their like elbows on the downswing, which is pretty normal. That's because they're trying to get their hands underneath the ball this way. So if they have their elbows completely straight, is good. But it'll be nice if Chris here can straighten his elbow on the downswing. So we're gonna take a look at a few of the videos again. So I'm gonna close the extra folders. So let's take a look at Chris's back view. I played it earlier in the video. Okay, so we're gonna just pause and then repeat that. So Chris uses the more traditional four-step approach. He actually moves his ball on the second step of his four-step approach, which is typically like the third step of a typical five-step approach, which a lot more like professional bowlers as well as a lot of bowlers that we teach as coaches nowadays. When you teach the modern game, we're also teaching the five-step approach as well. But the four-step approach is also totally fine. So I will not suggest for Chris to change to a five-step, because if he's comfortable with a four-step, he's fine. His timing wise is good as well, because his timing is what I would describe as the delayed ball placement timing. If you were to ask a lot of like maybe some of the European or some of the American coaches, they would say that this is late timing. But I would beg to differ. For me as well as a coach in Singapore, I personally would do teach this timing to my students because I want them to place the ball in a delayed manner, in a delayed timing manner. But in this case, right, first some of the mistakes I can go straight away is that Chris actually does his what we call, in the Americans and the Europeans would call it the push away, but in Singapore we like to call it the ball placement. Ball placement is our lingo for the start of the ball swing. So in this case, he's starting his ball swing a little bit too high. Typically, when we are already doing the delayed ball timing placement, that means by placing it in the case by in line when his left foot moves. That means at the same moment that his left foot is moving, if we are doing that ball placement in that kind of timing, we want to place our ball placement a lot lower. So this is the position that I would like Chris to place his ball at. That means a lot lower, because if we go back a little bit, if we see where he's holding the ball, right? So Chris is holding the ball around his tummy, which is a good position to hold the ball. So this is a pretty good starting position. Just that when he places his ball, right, he's placing it in the red arrow, which is a little bit too high. Right, he places his ball so high, but because we are already delaying our ball placement timing, so we don't want to delay it further by going higher. So by going higher, right, what happens is that you delay it too much, that the timing becomes late. Because the higher you go, the longer your swing will go, right? Let me use a red color one. Because if you place it higher, your swing, no, I want red. Yeah. So as the higher you place it, the longer your swing has to travel. So your swing takes longer to complete. But if you place it in a shorter, in a like a lower placement, then your swing would be a lot more compact. Or actually you would travel in the same path, but it will travel less distance, right? You can see the blue line will travel less distance as compared to the red line. So since your swing is a little bit more compact, that means your swing speed is a little bit faster as well. So a faster swing speed is also another key to increasing the ball speed, to increasing his ball speed. So like I remember in the WhatsApp conversation, Chris mentioned that he wants to be a little bit more consistent. Also, he likes to increase his ball speed. So consistency is what Chris is looking for. He's not looking for revs, because since he doesn't have his thumb in the ball, he has plenty of rev rate and plenty of power. He just wants a little bit more ball speed to couple, to like pair up with his rev rate. So first and foremost, it's a little bit of a lower placement. Other than that, his so let's remove the arrows there. His spine tilt in this position is actually pretty good, right? Actually pretty good. So this is pretty good spine tilt forward. The footwork is not ideal. You can see that his left foot is going in a separate direction. Like his left foot is going here, while his right foot is here. So that is not an ideal position. In a better position, his left foot should be like closer, and then sliding into the target around here. But let's see what his feet does. And in this position as well, you can see that he actually bends his elbows to try and get underneath the ball. I am technically okay with this position at the top of his swing, because I see that as he goes down, right, as Chris actually completes his downswing, he actually extends and straightens his elbow. So as long as he straightens his elbow during the downswing and maximizes the length of his arm swing, it is actually fine. He will get the benefit of the ball speed there. So you can see that Chris eventually slides in from here. You can see that he slides in from here to here. So not that ideal, because there's quite a big angle for him to slide in. Okay, so my gripe with Chris' finishing position. So what we mean by finishing position, when I say finishing position as a coach, it means the final position that the bowler ends up in right when they are releasing the ball. So this is Chris's finishing position. And at his finishing, actually his balance arm is actually quite straight. So this is what I like about his finishing position. Balance arm is straight. What I also like is that he tilts his upper body to the right, which is good, because by doing this, he actually creates this gap for his arm swing and his ball to come underneath his right shoulder. So these are the good stuff. So let's carry on with the good stuff. His trailing leg is decently positioned as well. Decent extension of his trailing leg. So he does have pretty good balance here. The only gripe I have here is that his knee bend is not enough, right? So I believe if Chris doesn't have any knee injuries, if he doesn't have any like previous injuries to his knee joints, then I would suggest that Chris try to get a lower knee bend to get lower to the ground and a lower finishing position. I also noticed that I think Chris's release is a little bit late, because you can see here when he releases his shot, he has this double bounce, right? Like the basketball bounce, which is really bad, because when you have this double bounce, you can see that the ball bounces twice. Let's repeat that. Bounces twice on the approach. When you get this double bounce, your ball loses a ton of energy. Because obviously, as everybody should be aware, right? When you have a contact with the ground, with every contact that your ball bounces on the ground, right, the more energy you lose. Which is why, like, if you are if, for example, if you do not dribble a basketball, if you just toss the basketball into the air and you just let the basketball just keep bouncing on the floor by itself without any additional force, eventually the basketball will bounce lower and lower and lower until it finally stops bouncing, correct? So the reason for that is that with every contact with the ground, there's more energy being transferred into the ground. So obviously, with any ball that contacts hits the ground, there's a loss of energy. And when you want to like maximize your ball speed, when you want to maximize your energy transfer to the pins, this double bounce is really bad. And it also affects the accuracy as well. So I'm not too sure what is the reason for the double bounce. Let's just try and see whether we can slow down this. Okay, in this video format, I can't really slow it down, but maybe I can just do freeze frames. What I suspect is that Chris might be releasing his ball a little bit late. Okay, is then here. Okay, Chris is releasing his ball a little bit late. And this is the part about his downswing which I don't like, because I think he straightens his elbows a little bit too late. So let's try and take a look here. Okay, so you can see here, Chris, this is at almost the bottom of the swing for Chris, right? But yeah, his elbows are still bent. So what Chris is doing as he releases the ball and as he straightens his elbows is that he's having a very angular downswing. So his ball, let's try and reverse it a little bit more. His ball at the top of the swing is here, right? So his ball is literally going in this trajectory. It's going into the lane. He's actually pushing his ball into the lane rather than, I'll use a blue arrow, rather than gliding the ball onto the lane like this. So ideally, in the perfect release, you should try and glide your ball down the lane, just like how an airplane would land. So that would be the ideal release, which is what I drew out with the blue arrow. But what Chris is doing with his downswing, when he like has this bent elbow and then he suddenly straightens his elbow as he releases, is that he's actually pushing the ball into the lane, which actually causes that double bounce. So let's remove the arrows and we shall see here. So here, I still think he's pushing the ball into the lane here. Yeah, you can see the double bounce here. So you can see the double bounce here. Yep. So he pushes, you can see that as he releases, he kind of pushes the ball, drops. It doesn't really drop, kind of pushes it into the lane. So what I would suggest is, this is actually not that easy to develop for a one-handed thumbless bowler, is that as Chris does the downswing, right, instead of having the bent elbow here, as he executes his downswing, I would like to have Chris try and find a way to straighten his elbow. If he can straighten his elbow on the downswing and actually accelerate the ball, push the ball with the back of his palm, with the back of his right palm, then he should have a lot smoother swing arc and a better release, a smoother release as well. And with a smoother release, like if the ball glides onto the lane as such, if the ball glides down onto the lane, you should see like better ball reaction, more consistent ball reaction as well. Because if he doesn't have the double bounce, his rotational energy of his ball should be better conserved, and you should see better like ball motion, more consistent ball motion down the lane. Because when you have this double bounce, you're kind of killing a lot of energy of the bowling ball. So when you kill a lot of energy of the bowling ball, the usual result is that your bowling ball hooks early because it loses so much energy during the initial like part of your bowling release. So it doesn't have enough energy to go down the lane and your ball hooks early, which is what a high ref bowler wants to avoid, because high ref two-handers or thumbless bowlers, you have that much ref, but you want to get the ball to hook into the pocket, right? So if your ball is losing energy early and is overhooking, is going to the cross pocket, you can't even get the pocket, you can't get the strikes. So yeah, that's that. So my tip here is that when Chris does his downswing, the best is that he's able to straighten his elbow, like in this part when the ball is going down. Let's see if I can catch the exact moment. Kind of this part, right? So in this part, when Chris is doing his downswing, rather than having the elbow bent, I would like to see him try to straighten the elbow and then have his palm and ball like behind, sort of like behind, and sort of like the fingers underneath the ball, but having the palm mostly behind the ball, so that he pushes, so he can feel with the back of his palm, with his right palm, that he's pushing the ball and like guiding the ball forward, pushing the ball forward onto the lane. So that's what I want Chris to be to to feel from like a bowler perspective. But from the video from the back, I would like to know he can see that he's doing a proper downswing if he straightens his elbow. Right. So in this case, he dumps the ball, like pushes the ball into the lane. So which is what gives him that like double release. So you can see here his ball actually overhooks, right? He loses a lot of energy towards the end. So if we see here, like his ball like kind of like just runs out of energy. So one of the reasons that it runs out of energy is, yes, his ball speed can be faster, but because of that no double bounce of his ball as well. So that causes his ball to lose energy. So let's take a look at Chris' footwork. So good things here is that he angles his right feet a little bit open. His right foot a little bit open. His left feet is okay. It's kind of pointed too far to this side, right? So what I would like Chris to do with his left feet is that point it straight towards his target. So his target is here. So the tip, like the toe of his left feet, should be pointing straight to the target. In the case of the right feet, this is okay to open up because you want to open up your hips as well, because he needs to open up his hips in order to let his ball swing come true. But something about the weight distribution of his right feet is a bit off. Is that you can see here the front of his left feet is on the floor. Instead, I would like to see Chris distribute the weight like evenly towards the center or the back of his right feet. Like you should see the sole of his right shoe like touching the floor itself, so that which means that his weight is like more evenly distributed right in the middle. Because if he has his like just his the tip of like the ball of his left feet touching the ground, which is what is happening here, this means that actually Chris's weight is a little bit distributed towards the front. Like his weight is a bit distributed towards the front instead, so it gives him a little bit of early weight transfer, which is not too bad. Like right now his weight transfer is not too bad because his back is still relatively straight, so that is still okay, just a minor gripe. Hips are okay, so bowling shoulders bowling shoulder is lower than the non-bowling shoulder, which is good. His eyes are on the target, which is the arrow zone or the break point, so that is also good as well. So a lot of good things that Chris is doing. And let's see if I have any further suggestions for Chris to improve. Like he just needs to have lower knee bend and he needs to have better discipline with his balance arm, so that he can maintain like a lower knee bend here, so he can bend his knees lower and maintain his balance arm a little bit higher. He should have a more consistent release and should see more consistent results. Okay, I can't really look at Chris' release technique. Actually, let me try. Let's see if I'm able to see his release technique here. I think it's decent because most of the time his palm is behind him. Yep. So another thing I noticed earlier is that based on the tempo, his swings looks a little bit slow. So for one-handed thumbless bowlers, similar to two-handed bowlers, right? The last three steps, as well as your swing, should be a lot more compact and a lot faster. So I'm gonna like play it and rewind it a few times. You can see that he kind of takes his last three steps a little bit slowly. So he's quite slow and his swing looks a little bit slow as well. So one way to have the swing go a little bit faster is obviously, like I mentioned, having a lower ball placement. That means place the ball a lot lower at the start of your swing, so that your swing becomes smaller, more compact, and as an end result, it should become faster as well. So he needs to speed up his swing, make the swing more compact, smaller, and faster. And he also needs to speed up his last three steps in order to like be in time with the smaller swing. So the idea is that by changing the ball placement, right, hopefully we'll solve a lot of Chris's speed issues. Because if he's able to place his ball let's use blue here. If he's able to place his ball at a lower position and have a lower backswing, a lower arm swing, then hopefully because of the lower arm swing, since it's faster, hopefully his last three steps will increase his speed and as well to match up with the lower arm swing. So if he matches up with if he has faster footwork on the last three steps and a faster swing, that should solve a lot of Chris's speed problems. You should like increase his speed by a fair bit. Then other than that, not much I can say. So let's just take a look at his side view. Yep. So same things. We will have this play, and let's have the epic. Oh wait. Okay, it's in full screen. So if we reverse a little bit, so in the side view as well, yep, we can see that this does the ball placement a little bit too high, right? So this red line, he does it too high. So instead, I would like to see him just place it here, and to place it a lot shorter distance as well. Okay, so from the side view, we can see it clearer, whereby what Chris is doing here is that he's fully extending his left arm as he does the ball placement. This is what we actually do not want, right? You place it too far away, then your swing actually becomes too large, right? It's not compact enough, so you can't do a fast swing in this way. So instead, when Chris does the ball placement, I would like to see his elbow bent and to have the ball just place a lot lower. Okay, let me see. So he should actually do the ball placement around here, like the elbow should stay bent and the ball should be like level with his okay, if I can draw a perfect circle here, like the ball should be at the same level as his tummy as he starts his swing ball placement. So the swing becomes a lot lower and his swing should only be like this. So compared to what he's doing from here, which is right now, what he's doing is like here, right? So the black line, which is a lot longer. So other than that, so I've already mentioned that before. So more compact. So you can see Chris losing balance here, usually because of his lack of knee bend, right? So a few suggestions. One simple suggestion for Chris is that he can do some balance drills. So I actually don't have any balance drill videos in my YouTube channel, but if you refer to a very famous pair of bowling YouTubers, Brad and Carl, which are professional PBA bowlers, so most people who watch bowling videos should know of them, right? So Brad and Carl actually does a surprising amount of drill videos. So in this case, these two particular videos I'll obviously link in the description in my channel. They are not specifically talking about finishing position. They are more for like to practice your bowling release. But a bowler such as Chris Wright could do these very same drills that Brad and Kyle is doing here, which is to get into the finishing position. That means to get here, you can notice that Brad here has really good knee bend, right? Really good knee bend. His upper body is lean a little bit forward. Then what I don't really like is their lack of balance arm. So their balance arm isn't extended, but you can see that, yeah, this is what we call a typical finish position drill or no step drill, right? So the only the only improvement I would say is that I would prefer for the bowler to have their balance arm like parallel to the floor so that they can like maximize the balance from their balance arm. Because if you actually do an experiment yourself, having the arm lower, having the arm parallel to the floor, and positioning the arm higher than your shoulders, all three different positions would affect your balance and affect how you feel when you're at the finishing position. So in my opinion, the best one would be to have it straight and parallel to the floor. So this is an example of a finishing position drill. And I believe Kyle actually demonstrates the same finishing position drill here. So you can see that here, as Kyle is doing this, his knee bend is pretty good, right? He has a good shoulder tilt. Then his arms are straightened, right? And here his legs are crossed. The only thing he doesn't do is that he doesn't raise his balance arm, I think. So let's see further. Yeah, he doesn't raise his balance arm. So for a bowler like Chris, right, who needs to improve on his finishing position, best to have that balance arm up. But obviously for Chris, the challenge is that he is a thumbless bowler, unlike Brad and Carl, who have their thumb in the ball itself. So do we have the yeah, so we have here, right? So this is the finishing position. So Carl actually demonstrates the finishing position here. Yep, this is a pretty good like frame perfect picture for finishing position. So practicing that knee bend, crossing the feet, having the shoulder bent, and I think ideally to have your balance arm straight up parallel to the floor. So for a thumbless bowler like Chris, the challenge is that since you don't have your thumb in the ball like this, how is he going to like support and hold the ball? So what I would suggest, like maybe Chris do a modified version of this finishing position drill by having his left arm be in front of the bowling ball, like in front of the bowling ball at the start of this drill, and then he takes like a small backswing. So that means swing the ball a little bit back upwards, and as he pushes downwards, clear the left arm and have the arm go up into the finishing position here. So as he pushes down and he does his release to clear the left arm, and then have the arm go straight up. So this is typically how a two-hander would do the finishing position drill as well, because the two-hander has that supporting hand in front, right? So I would suggest for Chris to do the same, because I do see in the video, like I think when Chris is doing his, I think it should be in another video here. Like when Chris is starting his swing, right? He's having his, I think, is it this one? Can't see from here. Is it the side view? Can we see from here? Okay. Yeah, his hand, you can see that his hand is actually kind of located in front of the ball, which is not bad. But I would actually prefer for his palm, the fingers to be pointing downwards actually. Right now, Chris's hand is actually having his fingers point to the left. So instead, I would actually suggest maybe Chris can position his palm like further in front of the ball and have the fingers point maybe towards this direction, further in a downwards direction, so that his palm is in a better position in front of the ball as he starts to swing. So when he does the so-called the finishing position drill, he could do this same thing as well, having the hand in front of the ball to support the ball from dropping, prevent the ball from dropping. Because you see, as he starts to swing, his hands are actually in front. So he clears his hand as his palm, as his swing goes into the back. Yeah, this swing is actually, this side view swing is actually a lot faster. 2, 5. Footwork wise, okay, I want to comment on the footwork as well. Okay, we can see here. So Chris's first step can be a lot smaller. He's off the screen here, but you can see that his first step is really big. So there is a school of thought that my fellow colleagues, my fellow like coaches, not a particular fellow coach has taught me that there's another school of thought in my country, which is Singapore, which teaches bowlers to have big second and third steps so that you can have a small power step, which is the step right before the slide, and then you can have a large slide. So in this case, if Chris were to do large steps, right, I would suggest for both his steps to be large. That means having the first two steps of his four-step approach be large, so that as he leans forward in the power step, he takes a very small power step and then he takes a larger slide. So you could do that, or alternatively, the other approach is that having all three steps be small, right? So having a small first step, a small second step, a smaller third step, and then a large slide. So that is the two alternatives. You can either have like two normal size steps in the first two steps of your four-step approach, or you could have two large steps in the first two steps of your four-step approach, and then have a small, even smaller third step, and then a large slide. So these are the two alternatives. Like right now, what Chris is doing now is that he's having a large first step, but he has a very small second step, and then a small third step, and a large slide. So it's kind of like he isn't maximizing the potential of his footwork. So I would suggest either two large steps or two small steps for the start of his four-step approach. So we're gonna watch it again. Yeah, you can see that his second step is kind of small. So he's off the screen here. So his first step is really large, second step is kind of small. So I'd rather please do like either two very large steps or two normal size steps for his first two steps. Okay, and any further things I could suggest? His finishing position here is decently good, right? So he is like angled his upper body to the right, uh, kicks out his feet, good. Balance arm can be straighter. The only thing that is that I'm not happy with is his lack of knee bend. So he could bend his knees a lot further here, so that he can closer to the ground. Okay, so I think that's it. Thank you very much to Chris for sending the video. So I hope he can try out some of my suggestions and see whether he likes it, see whether it helps him improve. And yep, so for any of the other viewers, if you'd like to send videos for video review, you can contact me via various social media platforms and so on, and you can watch me there as well. All right, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.